This is the Artificial Intelligence Week 6. And I wanted to go over funny, anecdotal topic. The reason why it's kind of funny is in most AI classes, this will be one of the first topics, but I wanted to save it for today. And the reason for that is this artificial intelligence camp, we explored a lot into the various applications or the usefulness of artificial intelligence. Now, machine learning is by far one of the most useful concepts. It's like the bedrock of artificial intelligence, especially what we see as AI. But I wanted to save it for today because it's a pretty interesting topic. Machine learning is the training of artificial intelligence. Now, we've talked a lot about machine learning in the past classes, but I don't think we've ever used the word machine learning for it. We've talked about how we feed AI systems data, large amounts of data, and it comes to decisions based on that data. So the official term for that would be machine learning. It's literally a machine learning. Okay. And it's basically the training of artificial intelligence. And yes, it allows systems to learn from vast, large amounts of data. We've covered what data is in the past. Please, do check out some of the recordings that we have on YouTube as well for, what are some kinds of data that artificial intelligence uses. And of course, using the data, it, identifies patterns and makes decisions. Okay. And finally, another reason why we actually have talked about machine learning in the past, this very cool concept that'll make a lot more sense as you continue studying, or more important than studying, actually working with artificial intelligence. We've talked about neural networks. Our brain has neural networks, but in this case, we're talking about artificial neural networks. AI, AI software components that allow artificial intelligence to actually think and basically be artificially intelligent. Okay. Now, another cool topic, this comes like, imagine a big umbrella. That's artificial intelligence. Imagine a smaller umbrella inside that, inside artificial intelligence. That would be machine learning. Now, underneath that smaller umbrella, we have deep learning over here. Deep learning is a part of machine learning. And, as the name suggests, it's pretty deep. Deep in deep in the effectiveness that it has in training AIs. It's one of the most effective forms of learning that an artificial intelligence system can undergo. And this is mainly because it uses the artificial neural networks that we just mentioned. It uses it with multiple deep layers. So machine learning as a whole, it may use artificial neural networks. It may also use, other forms of machine learning, more basic forms, or just different forms. But deep learning is actually where these artificial neural networks actually come into play. And these are deep layers, multiple hidden nodes that go through many calculations, the kind of thing. In some ways, it's similar to what our brain actually, does. And it basically allows AI systems to analyze data and make decisions. So this might be one of the most deepest, concepts that we're going to be covering in the camp. I think it's also very fitting for day 6. So for some of y'all, this might not make any sense. So that's all right. Just by listening to, this explanation, it'll already start to make a little bit of sense. And you can always go back to the previous recordings and actually understand this a lot more. Okay. And then we have a cool concept. It's called Edge AI. It's a really cool concept. I think this is also a lot simpler. It's basically running AI systems on local devices, phones, your computers, rather than central servers. If you remember, I think one of the earlier weeks, we talked about APIs, application program interfaces, and honestly just servers, the role that servers play in artificial intelligence. Servers allow these, neural networks and neural systems, AI systems to compute a lot of different data and information and basically come to, basically respond to any questions we ask in chatbots, through ChatGPT and other services. But yeah, that requires a lot of computing power, electricity, a bunch of different things, resources. Edge AI seeks to solve that. So through Edge AI, kind of like eliminates in some ways the need for that huge central server, physical, all those physical electronics. Because in very simple terms, it allows all that AI to happen on the very device that you're using right now. So it speeds up the processing and communication between the AI system itself. It also ensures better data privacy because you're not sharing your data that you enter with other with the central server or anyone else for that matter. So you can expect that edge AI, first of all, will get a lot more popular, in the coming years, but also for very important functions, whether it's in perhaps, companies, perhaps some governmental entities, perhaps, or other, high agent groups, you could expect that edge AI is going to be one of the main forms of AI that's being used. Yeah. And then finally, I wanted to just mention a couple of AI research companies. These are basically companies that seek to find ways to basically strengthen AI, make it stronger, make it better, achieve, artificial general intelligence, just to name call one. Artificial general intelligence, if you were here last class, or no, maybe two classes ago, in a recent class, we talked about how artificial general intelligence is the theoretical AI system that has the intelligence and abilities that we humans have. So it's not in existence as far as we know right now. But these AI research companies seek to work to develop AI systems in order to one day reach that level. We have OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Meta, NVIDIA, and Scale AI. These are just few of the many AI companies out there, and many are actually, the number of these AI research companies are growing, and each of them do different, functions. Some of these create actual AI models. OpenAI for one, Google, Microsoft, Meta, NVIDIA over here actually develops the hardware, the electronics behind AI. And finally, Scale AI over here develops the, let's say, digital technologies to actually handle data. And it also, provides a large amount of data from what I understood. So there's a lot of, AI research companies out there, and these are really some of the major players in the field who are pushing the frontiers of AI. With that being said, each of you, first of all, have the capability to create your own AI research company, gather a group of like-minded friends, and y'all can already start doing your own, to make it sound fancy, AI research, or at least some cool projects. And maybe one day, once y'all understand AI, a lot better, you can actually create your own AI research groups and potentially invent new ways to use AI to help, humanity. Or yeah. So that's AI research companies, and there's a lot of them.